every time that we make a sentence, we spread a tiny Merkaba to the space. So let's begin with our topic for today, which is the verb. So the word verb comes from the Indo-European language ver, and ver is basically related to the action of saying something, or basically is the action itself in the shape of a word. So if we go back into the etymology, we will see that the word ver and the word werg are kind of the same, and they are related in the origin. And werg is the origin of the word work for English, which is work. Verb and work are very much related because they are two concepts that are talking about an action, to take action into something. So verb is basically something that describes the action that someone, a subject, is doing. So let's remember what is a subject. A subject is someone, the someone that is doing the action. So we have mainly the ones that we call I, you, he or she, we, you in plural, and they. So we have these six. So this subject, this person, or also this object, will set itself into action by moving the energy into a direction, into a work. We used to say that the work of energy, that the movement is a part of a work of a subject to create energy. So this movement of energy that we are doing, that we call the work of energy, is something that can help us understand why in the origin of the languages we call work and word and verb exactly the same, because they means the same. It's a force of action that someone does. So this also the action, the verb, will be separated by or expressed by the subject in different aspects, which are the aspects of time and the aspects of space. So when we get the aspects of time, the subject will realize this action in the past, the present, or the future. Of course, that these are the main three times that someone can make an action, but then with the evolution of the language, we start to try to specify exactly when I did or someone did that action. So that's why we eventually start to have different kinds of past, different kinds of present, and different kinds of future. So we could specify that, and it makes much more rich the language, so we can communicate better. In the same way as we have a trinity of time in the verb, past, present, and future, even if they start to divide a lot, in many languages we have also a trinity to describe the verb in space. So the trinity of space in a verb would be the subject, which is the one that makes the action, that defines the verb. The lexeme, which will be the root of the verb, so is the part that doesn't change of the verb, unless it's like the verb to be, which is very different, which is irregular verb. And then we have the third part, which is the desinence. That is the last part of the verb, usually in certain languages. That is the part that changes all the time to describe the plural, the singular, or the past, the present, future, and all these kind of, or also terms of way of how it expressed. So the parts that change constantly inside the verb. So now we can understand kind of the aspect of the verb, so we can understand the structure of it. And from this, the most important thing to get from what is the verb is that the verb is the description of the energy. It's basically a way in which we can pronounce, say, and express, describe what is energy. That's the main key to understand the importance of the verb, because it's how we can pronounce and determine the energy of things. So the verb is kind of this arrow when we speak that holds all the energy of the sentence and the intention, and determines how it's going to be, determines what is the energy that will manifest. So this is why it's so important to realize the power of the verb, because it's the one that energetically encodes all the energy, the strength to make something possible. A sentence without a verb can exist, but is the verb the one that gives a meaning to the entire sentence? At the beginning, the verb was not a verb as we know it today. The verb is basically the creation of a concept, of an object that is now into action. So in the past, they didn't create words for verbs to describe actions. It was not an invention. They were just taking the words of the objects they were doing, and they just added something to describe the action that they were doing with that. So for example, it's easy in English to understand this because you don't have these enclitics and all these variations of the verb like in Spanish we have. But in English and the Saxon languages, it's easier because, for example, you have the word work, and it can be a verb or it can be an object, a concept. Okay, like the only difference you have in English to separate a verb from the object is the word to, which describes the direction where it goes. So to work is that there's a movement, an action towards that object. Okay, so the object, the noun that we are using are basically something that is physical, that existed. Okay, so it's something that was described by people with the sounds that were similar to the object that they were using. But suddenly this object or this noun that we were using, just by adding the to, we have the action, the verb. So this is how a verb begins. It's just describing how something is into action. Think about this. If every noun that we use to describe an object is basically us saying the action of something. So it doesn't matter what noun you take from the world. It doesn't matter which one, anything, can be whatever. If you put an action on that, it means that everything can have action and everything is energy. If everything is energy and everything can be done as an action, so this means that everything is a verb. Everything is a word. So follow this line. If everything that exists can be taken into an action, so everything basically is energy because you can make an action with it. It means that the entire creation is a verb. So it means also that the entire universe is a constant action, moving energy. So the entire creation is a verb, which brings us to the idea that so the creator is also the verb. So why for all the ancient cultures, God is the verb? Because the verb is the thing that makes everything move. That is the vibration that allows everything to take action. So that's why the creator should be exactly the energy that creates and manifests and moves everything that exists. So now we reach this sentence. And pay attention to the sentence. In the beginning, there was the verb. And the verb was God. That's very important to understand. In the beginning was the verb, and the verb was God. So what happened in the creation is that basically the verb is the main thing that exists. The verb as vibration is the vibration, the movement in action, something that starts to move. This wave of vibration that is creating everything. But in the beginning, when it starts to move and creating the waves of vibration, the movement of action, in the same moment, something happened, that the vibration becomes itself the action and the subject that creates the action. This is why they say, at the beginning was the verb, and the verb was God. So what happens after this? That all this big wave of vibration, the first action, starts to spread, but it creates different waves. And these waves will be actions, so verbs. And every time that one of them happens, something new is created. And that's why we know this sentence. And God said. And God said, and God said, and God said, once and again. And suddenly this vibration, this wave, became a particle. And God said, and now it's light. And God said, and now it's atom. And then God said, is a molecule. And from molecule to a component, a chemical component. And then we have hydrogen, oxygen, phosphor, and again and again, and we create chemical reactions, and then we start to create planets and stars, planets, worlds, and evolution and species, and God said, and God said, and God said, and God said, all the time, vibration. So these waves of vibration, the different waves of vibration, are the ones that we start to call frequencies, and all the frequencies starts to create different realities, and all these different realities are the ones that we remember as God said, and God created, and God was willing to create this, and blah blah blah. But it's only vibration, verbs creating constantly. So these waves of vibration starts to get much and much complicated, much and very, very weird connection. So eventually, throughout millions of years of evolution, these same waves of vibration end up creating a brain. And the brain starts to create a way in a species that are able to pronounce the vibrations, the verbs that are an echo from the ones from the beginning. And we are made at the same image. We are made alike. So what happened then is when we realize that the verb, the action, starts to become also our own creation, the way in which we can manifest. So we start to be able to create, acknowledging the subjects, acknowledging the predicate, acknowledging the complements, which are their chakras. So this is why when you read or have heard about the Genesis, the beginning of the things, we don't have to see the descriptions as something real. We have to understand it as just a description of how people could understand in that time the realities that today we can describe in a different way. Like, for example, it is so much information, the creation, it happens in so much time, in millions and billions of years, and they don't have even years, so they have to call it stages. But there was no way to call a stage 1, stage 2, so they call it days, because that's how people could understand what it means, a period of time. So they call it first day, in the second day, in the third day, even if it were not days. Also, they were describing how the verb became flesh. And it's not that, is how vibration starts to create energy, and the energy of action, the verb, manifests into matter through chemical reactions. That happens in millions of years, billions of years. And of course, when it describes God on the water and floating on the water, they could not describe how it was time, this illusion that moves like waves. It was impossible to describe the waves. So that's why they compare it with an ocean. That's why they said water. So we cannot take all these stories that were told by people that hadn't the tools to understand what they were experiencing or remembering. They were just describing things as they could with the tools they had around. So to read a book of history about the creation, sometimes we make the mistake of reading them like if it was true, and it's just a description of something. It's like going to the cinema and look for, I don't know, the Avengers, and you say, wow, so this is really happening in New York? It's like, it's happening now? What the hell is happening in New York? It's like if you are seeing the news, and no, it's just a movie from Marvel, whatever, the Avengers, I don't know. We have to understand that they were stories. It's a description, it's a descriptor way of a time. So what do we take about this? We take the importance of verb. Because even if it seems really crazy, every time that we say a sentence, we are creating a Merkaba, a tiny Merkaba in the vibrational realm. So first of all, let's remember this. Verb. What is verb? Verb is action. It means action, energy in action. So we have to remember that. So whenever we say a verb, we are setting a seed of action into the space. And that seed is created by a Merkaba. And this tiny Merkaba is created by all the complements that the verb has. So all the complements, direct, indirect, of the verb are creating the chakras of the verb. And then the time, the ways, the space, the subject, predicate, prepositions, all these kind of things, they all create the Merkaba around. So every time that we make a sentence, we spread a tiny Merkaba to the space. So every time that we say a sentence, it's like if we are giving a cell to the space, and every cell is united to another one, creating an organism that starts to create a big being that we call egregor. And all this information starts to grow throughout all the time that we speak and shape a being in a realm that we used to call Akashic records. This conjunction of verbs, of sentences, starts to create beings, different important beings that live in the Akashic records, that shape something, a being itself that has its own life. So to understand this, when we speak, the information starts to go into this realm of Akashic records that starts to create big, huge beings that by resonance, they get together to one another. So for example, all the people that talk about love in the planet, their talks, their sentences of love, they all go to the same part of the library because it's like kind of the same being. By resonance, they get together. So this means that eventually someone can channel this information from that entity. So we can channel that information. And it's not that we are channeling someone, it's that we are channeling the information that these people have said and left in the environment. This is why many of us, we can channel the same people, remember the same lives, channel the same messages, because we are connected to the same cloud. So we have different ways to call it today. The ancient ones used to call it the different heavens. But today we can call it the cloud, or we can call it the server. All this information that is around, that is in the cloud, in the server, we can also biologically call it the neurons, the archives of information that are in the nervous system. We can, for example, understand this like saying that we are simple cells that walk around and we have no idea of what is happening in our subconscious. We usually don't know what is happening in our subconscious. We have a lot of information inside of us, but we are not aware of that until something happened that makes us remember or to know through a therapy or whatever. We can figure that out. So when you connect to this network of information, it's like connecting to the subconscious. It's like, why? I had no idea that all this information was around. It was everywhere, but it's there. And most of this information is registered there by the word, the verb, the things that we say. This is all the information that we can download and manifest in this world. So as I was watching here, of course, that is not only the verbs that are registered there. The feelings, the thoughts, the dreams, they are all there. They're all in this environment of information. So every pulse that we emit is there. So we can access that in different ways, many different ways. And of course, there are some of these entities of information that are bad and others that are good. So there is information about anything. But above all, remember, please, the verb is the one that allows all that information to be manifested or not. So pay attention to that, and the rest is just a complement. So in the ancient civilizations, when we were at this point, we were taught how to talk with the planet through ourselves. Everyone in the planet has to know about this main reality, that we are frequency, energy, and matter. And we usually, in the past, choose our names about this Trinity. Like everyone has 3 letters name, or 9 according to the level of the people. So we had this pattern, but in the past, in the past civilization, they used to teach to the youngest one that the most important thing to change reality is changing what you express from that reality yourself. And if you want to change all this shape, there is only one way you can express and feel everything around you, which is sound and chanting. The whole universe is within us here, in the throat. But there's only one way you can express from the throat the whole truth. And they taught that the only way is with the feet. Sing with your feet, they used to say. Why? Because in order to channel the power of the universe, you have to be very well grounded. So when you do that, you start to create the pattern of the spiral around you from below to above and backwards. Otherwise, the energy of the planet would push you and you can fall. This main core, what they said is, so if you want to change the whole shape, you have to sing to complete every part of the universe around and within you in 8 realities plus 1. Remember the cube. So they said there are 9 sounds in the universe that were born from 3 sounds that holds the whole reality and that transform the reality. So to feel the energy of the planet and to feel the energy of heaven and to connect them all and to understand what this land is telling me to do, we have to be that portal of sound. So these sounds are vowels, and these vowels are 9, and we have 3 from where they were born, which are breathing. Yeah. So breathe, and when you breathe, then 4 sounds start to appear, which are these ones. So, and then from there it comes a, e, i, y, u, o, u, wo. So, and then go back to this and this. It's like a cycle. Yeah, it's a cycle like this. So, if you say it in just one word, it will sound om. For sure you know that. It's yeah. They are all the levels of frequency. Yeah, from this here is the highest. Yeah, is the wave. So all together is Om. That's why Om is the first sound. Yeah? But this is all the things that you say when you say Om. Yeah? It's good to know. So what they said is, by chanting this all the time by yourself, you are chanting to every history of your blood, your soul, and your spirit. And this centers you in the eternal present. So the eternal present, remember, is to change past, present, and future at the same moment. But to do this, you have to have empty mind. The only way the universe created everything was from a dream in a white mind. So this tool is for our body, as for our lands and civilization. So Atlantic civilization used to work with sound to do everything. Have you heard how the pyramids were built? They weren't aliens, not even humans, both of them. But the main tool they have was sound. By chanting, by frequency, by some tools that made higher frequency, they were able to move the stones, which were very heavy, but with frequency, high frequency, they make it like 50 pounds or something like that. That's why there are 2 things that we naturally used to do when we arrive to a temple, a stone circle, or a pyramid. Silence or chanting. There's something within that impulses us to sing somehow.
is the stones resounding with ourselves. So we need to answer. Have you ever been in Egypt? Have you met the pyramids from inside and outside? Have you seen any hieroglyphics? Not really? And the pyramids? There's nothing inside. In the temples, yes, but not the pyramid, not the Sphinx. They are just plain stone, like in Peru, like in many other cultures. This used to happen because the knowledge in the ancient civilizations, they used to say, the only way you can know that someone has the wisdom to achieve the information is if they are able to listen to stones, not to read. That's why it's so important to sit down and feel before chanting or whatever, just resounding with the place. So that's the only way that the place would know that you are able to listen or not. So why do I explain that? Because now in this, the earth is trying to reconnect itself, and we have to use again these tools that civilization left us. So it doesn't mean that we should only go to pyramids, because we have natural pyramids, which are the mountains, and natural caves, which are the streams and waterfalls and caves. And also some places around the world, like the Eiffel Tower, I don't know, places very well known by everyone, that if you change or switch the energy of that place, you're changing the image inside every people around the world. So we have two ways to change that reality. One is meditation, and the other one is activation. The meditation goes within, to change within with the tools from outside. Activation is bring what I have within to change the outside, but always with intention for the best good for everyone. And one of the things that you should know too is that the planet is a live being. So when you touch or activate some places, then the places start to move. We usually believe that everything is good if everything is just quiet. But for the universe, quiet is not such a good thing. Okay. So for example, when you receive a massage, you usually will hear some places doing like tuck, tuck, oh, and you release the energy. We call that earthquakes. But we don't like earthquakes for somehow. I think they are very funny and emotional. It remembers you that the earth is alive. And also, when you create a portal of energy from up to below, so the energy could go through, what you usually see is a lightning. So the storms are also a way of seeing that what you are doing is working. So always around, when you do energetical work around the planet, you will see that the planet is responding, is answering with this kind of manifestations in nature. I said that we had, or I myself had, two missions to do, which is remember and remember. One, remember, is to bring information to share, and the other one is to put the members together. And one of these things is, if I couldn't remember what happened here, I had no idea what to connect now, and how to do it by sound. So the tool that we have now, the people that is awakening in this process of consciousness, we have the tool to switch our way of thinking, how we change the stuff, and instead of beginning by the shape, start with the frequency. But not only to change the whole world, but to change your own world. One of the things we must see about this is that this is to change myself and amplify the energy and the resounding pattern around me. So it means that we don't have to go to help other people if they didn't ask for it. The process is, if I change, the frequency I expose from my wellness will make the others resound and change too. So first I have to do the change for me, and while I do that, I will see how the other people change around. Because if I want to help other people to be aware of this, and I call them, no, you have to do this and this, maybe we are interrupting their own process of evolution. So it's important that whatever you do for the planet, you're not doing it for the civilization or the planet. You're doing it because it's what you want to do, what you feel is good for your own. And if it helps others, welcome. So you have to remember that there is an easy way to change the frequency or DNA of something, which is by sound. We used to bless food in religions, or we can sing to the food, or just when we eat, enjoy very much the food. If we sing to the food, what we are doing is to charging with my frequency the DNA of the food. Have you seen these images about how when you sing to the water, the pattern of the water changes? So that's what I mean. Also, the second one is breathing better. And breathing better, I mean by these three, breathing at the same quantity of time, the three of them, and very deep from the, how do you call this, the diaphragm, not here above, not like this, but from very below, And the best thing is to try to, when I go breathing in, I count till 3. I hold the air 3 times, and I expose it 3 times. And from there, I add a number when I'm ready. 4 times, counting 5, till 9. So when you breathe till 9, it's like the most soft way of breathing, and then hold it and very soft. That connects with the breathing of the universe, and also makes the air feed the blood. And the third one is higher and lighten the frequency, which is laughing a lot. Yeah, laughing is the sound that makes you go higher in frequency. So they are very easy. Eat better, breathe better, laugh more. And also singing. What I want to do right now is a little bit of this with all of you. This is a small tool because you have to learn what every letter means, and there's a whole process to understand all this, but the most important thing is to feel it. So what we're going to do is, first of all, try to practice with all of them, and then we all will go doing the same. But after that, when you already say the words and you are with your feet like this, yeah, if you want to stand up or just sitting, but very well firm, yeah, firm the feet. So we start to breathe first, then the nasal sounds, and then the vowels. And after we do all this, I will tell you, you just sing in different levels what you feel, the vowels you feel. And the purpose of this is to talk to our body, soul and spirit. What we do with this is to create a vortex from the core of our being, singing up and low, resounding with this. This vibration, nasal vibration, makes vibrate your pineal and hypophysis glands and helps to the connection of every cell of your body. So it's breathing, vibrating with all the body, and then focusing on the parts of the body. So bringing the frequency to every gland and every organ. This is like a way of talking with your body without any words, harmonizing the whole body. If you do it when you go to sleep, so you will see that suddenly you will feel like everything is vibrating properly. And when you accomplish that with yourself, then you can express more in your house, your town, your country, and beyond. So first of all, you concentrate in your body, the pains of your body, the illness you have, whatever you have in your body, then your family, then the culture, all the country and the regions and the planet after that. These vowels are like this in our body. So we begin from the A, yeah, A, E, I, Y, U, O, U, W. Okay, and these ones connect everything. This is like. So, okay, let's try a little bit with our column straight. If you want, you can be seated or stood up for strength. But I would rather not to be lying on the floor. Why is that? Because when you do this, you are a portal between heaven and earth. And when you are lying, you are going through all the energies above earth. So that's the astral energy. Let's practice.
Let's begin with the topic for today, which is resonance. Resonance, from where it comes from two words. Re, that means again, and sonus, that means to make noise. So we have here the meaning of resonance, which is to make a noise again. Easy. So from where comes this concept of making a noise again? So to understand from where it comes from, remember that in the universe there was only one thing that decides to divide by two, giving origin to two different things. So this one will be called negative, and this one here will be called positive. And what is going to happen with these ones? They will divide again. So they will divide, creating other two. So from 1 to be 2, and then from 2 comes 4, and then divide again, creating 8. And this goes on and on and on. Now, once the first one is divided and we have these two, these two from the center. So when these two were together inside of this one as one, they were in tension. But becoming an action, this intention will be called intention. What is the intention? Is the action of being in tension. So remember that because they were both together in tension, when they separate, they are still the same. So they are connected by a line of tension. According to at what distance these two particles are going to be, they will have one kind of tension or another kind of tension. Let's think like the chord, the string of a guitar. As lower is the vibration, the string will be like this. As higher is the vibration of the string, the chord will vibrate like this. So this is why something that we already spoke once is the law of vibration, because this here describes vibration. What is vibration? It's a very fast movement. So all this is what we call vibration. All this is vibration, a fast movement. And this here, one going up, another one, or the other one going down, 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 are frequencies. What is a frequency? A frequency is the frequency of something. How long it takes to repeat. How long it takes for this point here to repeat here, or this one to repeat again, How long it takes to repeat. That's what we call a frequency. We can see it in this way. A high frequency is when this is repeating very fast in just 1 second. Is very fast. And low frequency is when the waves start, the spots repeats in a long time, like every 5 minutes, for example, compared to this one. So that's low frequency, high frequency. So what is the vibration? Vibration is the movement. So it can be a high vibration, low vibration, it doesn't matter, it's movement. Taking this in account, let's go now to the strings of a guitar or of a piano. I forgot how it is a guitar. So kind of like this. So imagine like this. In this part here, we create the tension because we put tension on the strings. And this spot here is where you touch the chord, the string, to make the vibration. We have that in the negative, we create the tension, and in the positive, we create the vibration. In the piano, we will have exactly the same. We have here the created the tension here, and we play the key, and that would be the generator of vibration. When in between the tension here and the vibration here, the strings will start to vibrate from low to high. Like, for example, na, 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 na. So we have the notes from low to high vibration. So it was generated a note. So what is a note? It's a sonus, a noise generated by tension and vibration. So what is the principle of the re sonus? The principle of the re sonus is this, that we have do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, do. That do is the same one. Is the same in another octave. So it means that it is sounding again. Re sonus, re sound. So the principle of resonance would be that the vibrations will be repeated once and again after certain frequencies, after certain times. They will be repeated again in a lower octave or a higher octave. This means that the letter C, do, the letter C will be all the time looking for the other letter C in order to close the system. When I say this example of the sounds, like I say na, 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 and I end up there, for sure you will miss something. Like you need for something to finish. Like, it cannot be like that. You need to finish it, to close it with a na, that sound, which is the other C. If you don't do that, it's like if you are uncomfortable, like if something is not wrapped. So imagine that your life is kind of like this C looking for the other C. And in between, you have many notes that are dissonant with the first one. But you have to keep going through all these conflicts until you reach the resolution in the next key. So basically, this means that if I am the note C, I am vibrating in one note, in one vibration specifically, that I will try to look for my resonance through my life, looking for that note that is like myself out there. And for sure, through my life, I can find letters, other notes that can help me to find it, like when we form a chord, for example. Okay, so we form a chord, and that's much more easier. So we can play with that. But even though we are gonna look for my resonance, meaning that the same note that I am, the same information that I have within me, will be the one that I am looking for, because it has my same truth, the same truth that I have within, but in another level of consciousness. It will give me something new for me. When we understand this, we can get that the truth that we are looking for is only related to what we have within. For example, if we are the note C, I'm gonna be looking for another note C in order to be resonant. And maybe if I only find the note A and I'm dissonant to the note A, it doesn't mean that note A isn't true. It means that simply vibrates in a different way. So when we usually used to say, I resound with this, or I don't resound with this, that you don't resound with something doesn't mean that that something is not true. It means that you resound with this. It means that your truth is in the C, in another note. So maybe you will need help from other notes to make the note C and E to sound beautiful for a song. Okay? But it doesn't mean that the other one is not true. So taking it into our reality is able to resound with the complete truth, because everything has a part of the truth. Everything is resounding. So as you see, it's all vibration. It's impossible to have one that is the real one. Reality is relative. What it means, relative? Relative means a link that is repeated again. A link repeated again, relative. And that means that relativity is the aspect of the things that are related to one another, like the family, relatives. Relation. It's about what am I related to. So this explains that everything that we live actually is related to what we resound. It's not something bad that happens to us because why it happens to me if I am a good person. No, I am resounding with that reality, so that's why it's happening to me. And maybe sometimes we have some conflicts, and the conflicts are dissonance. When, for example, we have 2 or 4 notes that doesn't really sound properly for a song, they are not perfect. So I need to look for another one that makes it perfect, that solves the problem, the resolution of the chord of the song. So I have to look for it, and otherwise I'm going to be dissonant and distorted. But the reason why I got myself into that problem, into that dissonance, is because I was vibrating and resounding in that situation. So the reality we live is according to what we resound. So this is why what we have to do is to resound better. So in order to resound properly, what do we have to do? The same thing as always, coherence. What is that? To tie the chords, the strings properly with the wisdom of the Spirit, that is chording the strings of reality, to sound properly with the body, which is the sound, the manifested sound, and to connect the chords, the strings of the soul. This would be tuning the resonance, to tune the instrument. So we can understand here that here we have the instrument. So this is our instrument. Body, soul, and spirit. And tuning the strings. How can we tune all this? With unconditionality. So what it was unconditionality? In means negation, denying. Con means together, a group of things. Dikyo means to say. Tio, action. And ality means equality. So a condition is something that a group of people decided together to conform as a truth. So a condition is a group of people that sit and debate and says, do we all agree with this? So this is going to be like that. So conditionality is the quality of that condition. So what is unconditionality? That things are not conditioned by a group of people, but things are simply what they are. So how can I become unconditional in wisdom with the Spirit? For that, I have to be open to listen to everybody and to hear many other truths, to learn something always, to be open to receive the knowledge of others, not staying with only what I know. How can I be unconditional in love? So how can I love with unconditionality? It's basically to release the expectations that we have in the bonds we have with others, to release emotions that connect us with others, and to accept everybody and everything by what it is, not by what we expect to get from them. So how can I have unconditionality in will? Is what we spoke the other day, free will, to set ourselves free from traditions, from the cultures, from the religions, from the beliefs of the clan, of the family that we inherit as something that we think is normal. But in order to do that, first we have to love unconditionally, and we have to be unconditional wise. Okay. So just to wrap this idea, in the ancient times, in the Atlantan times, the wise people understood that the universe was resonance and vibration, and because of this, they tried to build a language in which they could speak with the universe and try to transform their realities through the word, trying to reach that resonance and get it out from the dissonance. So those main languages, many others were born because according to the territory, they had to change because each territory has, and the people has a specific vibration according to that land. So that's why through the music and through the way of speaking, they added the language in many others. So the one that I remember was here in Kem in the Nile, and we call it Saitu. That was that I studied. And these languages are the ones that give birth to the idea of mantras, to manifest the vibration and to correct the strings of ourselves. I would like to write it down here so you have it and I can pronounce the letters so you know the specific sound. So the reason why I'm going to explain this is because any of those letters and combining them in different structures we can create a mantra. We can create a name, we can create a song, we can create a mantra that we can say or mantra that we can sing. So according to the topics that I wrote there, the concept that I wrote in the post with the meaning of each one of the letters, you can create a mantra that you can use for yourself to tune your vibration, or also to sing to the water. So I'm going to do this now, so you have the letters organized, because in the blog maybe it was confusing, and I will pronounce them. I won't explain what they mean. I will explain the sound. So now you have it registered here. Then you can just stop the image. So 9 vowels, and each vowel will have 4 consonants. It doesn't mean that this vowel can be only with those consonants. It's just an organization of the language. So we can divide it this, and we have the first 3 will go to the spiritual level, this one the soul level, and this one the physical level. So each one of these groups will be related with one sound, which is the breathing. The first one is inhalation. The second one, hold. And the third one, exhalation. So the names in Atlantan times to these 3 groups were called ham, het, hum. So these are not letters, these are sounds. So don't look for the letters that your name has, look for the sound that they have. Each one of these letters will be one being that will go through a process that we call expression, experimentation, integration, and transcendence. Okay, so this is their organization. I will read it, so pay attention. A, ma, na, ma, nya, a, ya, ya, la, la, e, ga, wa, sa, ra, ra, i, ha, fa, va, y, v, ba, pa, u, ra, ra, c, z, o, sa, so, sh, ch, u, th, ta, the, wo, ha, ka, ho. So you have it now, so you can hear it again and know the sounds. The idea is not for you to speak the language, of course. You are not learning the language. What you're having is just the idea of the vibration, how to be able to share it with mantras in the singing, just to have it. These letters were the ones used in this in the Nile to manifest the ideas into matter by sound and singing. So I guess that I thought that today would be nice to explain it here. First of all, this being with librarian, just to talk about God,
universe as a young kid that was living in a library and read the whole books. And he knew everything. He knows everything. But he never knew that if that book tells the truth or not. So he wanted to make this experience that book and get out of the library. So to get out of the whole information, to experience the whole information, he just tried to express itself. He, she, it, where it needs to express itself. So on doing it, he just took the whole information and sprayed all around. This is the first thing, the first movement of the universe. But before, there were so many things altogether that humans used to call it the nothing, because we cannot understand it. Remember, if God, the universe, is like one of us, so is the universe the only one? No. But that's a universe problem, not us. So this is a universe experience. But she decided to go within, inside, and he started to meditate, asking to the consciousness if the consciousness was prepared to experience. And the consciousness, we name it spirit. And science call it frequency. Now, the spirit is almost like this, saying, I am. Yeah? It is the frequency, I am. Yeah? This is the first thing that we should all have in consciousness. That the eternity of the universe is the spirit. That the spirit is only frequency, it doesn't have shape. And when the spirits start to agree with the spirits, start the first frequency in the universe that we used to call the sound. That's why, for example, in the Bible says the word of God. At the beginning was the verb, and God says, yeah. So if she says something, it's because there was a frequency, there is a word, and that is the spirit, the frequency. Why to explain this? Because you use the frequency all the time. So you are co-creating the frequency of the universe all the time by talking or singing. So in the way we use the words, we use the frequency of the universe. In the past, we have 9 vowels that help us to connect with this. Why the vowels? Because they are free, and the consonants are the shape. So we have A, E, I, U, O, U. There's 9, and one more. These 9 vowels in the past were used to reconnect with the whole universe. They were the sound of the first frequency. When you use the vowels in consciousness, you are talking with every cell of your body. And that's why the human beings and a lot of beings in the universe use the music as a language. And that's why the most powerful songs that connect us with the universe are for sure more vowels. Vowels. A, E, I, U, O, U. Okay? And we have almost 50 consonants, which is the structure. This is the first, the frequency. So if we want to change something, change in our lives, we need to start by the sound. The sound in the very beginning of the universe, the sound was the spirit who says, I am, the truth, like the waves in the ocean. But suddenly, the spirit says, I want to transform to spirits. So the sound, the spirit, starts to wonder who I could be. Then the frequencies start to make like this. Yeah? This is the energy. For the first time in the universe. Spirit, sound, and energy. Yeah, the frequency and the energy. We name the energy soul. The soul is like a big cell of energy that starts vibrating in many frequencies. And when the whole frequencies start to vibrate more and more, they start to make like writing. Yeah? So frequency makes the energy. So the sound makes the light. And God says, let be the light. And the light became flesh. Yeah? What's the flesh? Is the form. So we have sound that create the light, and then the form. 3 things. Do you know 3 important things in the universe? Lots of people know about that. We used to call them the sacred Trinity. And sacred Trinity. The sacred Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. And another word is there, who give birth to the Son. Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is because in that time the woman was a witch. And they say try to kill them, so they took the woman. It is the Father, the Mother, and the Son. It's the family, because the family is the most easy way to people to understand the Trinity. But really is the music, the knowledge, and the fourth is architecture. That's why when in the past the 3 of them were all together, a few people named God the big architecture, the architecture of the galaxy. They have the sound, the light, and the form, and they start by consciousness with the sound, build the heaven in the earth, pyramids, for example. buildings, cathedrals, these kind of things, these constructions are spirit, soul, and body. Because with the sound, they activate the potential of the spirit in the earth. But in evolution, we did the same. Our spirit, with the energy, create the body, DNA. This is this, co-creation, DNA, because of the energy and the frequency. Yeah? This Trinity is the spirit, the soul, and the body. You all have the separate Trinity, and we all can activate it by the gathering of our music or our sound with our consciousness and our body. And we must know that this whole creation, I am trying to make a resume about that. This whole creation, we are now here in the form. So we need to change everything by the form. So the way of doing that is to change this, to change this, and change this. That's this experience, integration. Yeah, you understand that? This is the way of going in the universe: frequency, energy, and form. And the integration is form, energy, frequency. Why? Because we are now in form. But the form is the three of them. So if we want, we have two ways of changing it. If we are subtle people, if we are very high frequency people, we can start to change it by the frequency. But if we are really dense people, we can also start to change it by the body. And now we will see the three ways of changing it by the body. Everything is a Trinity in the universe. This first thing in the universe is really important, because everything you could create, co-create in your life will be in this same way. Everything you could say could transform the consciousness around you and then shape your life. This is very clear when we get sick. First, we made something, we created frequency around us, a teaching or learning of our lives. That make a consciousness, that creates something new. But if we don't understand what is that for, we cannot be consciousness about the purpose of that. So the body starts. What is it? An illness. An illness is an incapacity. Is an incapacity of recognize a purpose of something you have lived. When you recognize the purpose of the fact, the illness doesn't have sense, so it goes away.